Hi guys, today here with Debbie Reed, our daily gem for the day, and we're bringing the collective consciousness to life here on Daily Gem. And Debbie, I originally met her here at the community garden doing a Wild Wise talk at the Welcome to Sooke dinner that I was invited to, and got to know Debbie through a presentation that she did, and she's going to share a little bit about who you are. So if you can explain, Debbie, who are you and what do you do here in Sooke?
Well, I'm in Sooke and I run the Wild Wise Sooke program. What our program is an educational program, and our goal is to educate people within the community on how to coexist with wildlife. What I am teaching is called attraction management, and through attraction management, what we're trying to do is teach people how to manage these attractions so that wildlife doesn't get involved in these types of things.
Okay, so Sooke is a very highly populated, animal populated area.
Yes, Sooke has a very high population of bears.
Yeah.
It's been that way for ever.
Yeah.
And other wildlife. Just our landscape alone, we have beautiful forests, creeks, oceans. So our landscape is just condoned for animals that naturally want to live here.
Nice. So we'll talk a bit more about the program and maybe what we can do, but how did you get into dealing with wildlife? Where did you come from? What's your
Well,
background?
I moved to the area about 5 years ago from Alberta, and retired and moved out to acreage, about 4 acres in the forest. And what happened was I was living there and experiencing a lot of wildlife, and we had a lot of bears, and a lot of the people that were living there felt the bears to be a threat and wanted to have the bears destroyed. So I contacted the conservation officer and basically pretended to be the bear, and asked the conservation officer really what my options were. I was living in the forest, people moved in, they were feeding me garbage, and I wasn't really sure why they wanted to shoot me. So listening with the conservation officer, he actually
He said, "Who is this?"
yeah, who is this? You know, why are you talking to me like this? And I'm like, well, I'm living in the forest and there's bears here, and the people that have moved in don't understand that it's the reason that the bear is in their garbage is because they left their garbage out. And the reason that the bear is in their gardens is because they're leaving the rotten vegetables there. And so who's going to be there to teach these people that they have to understand how the wildlife lives, and that we just can't be putting wildlife down everywhere? And so he suggested that I start looking into some wildlife programs and possibly working with them to educate our community, and so began a program. I originally started with the nonprofit Wild Safe BC program, and got my education about wildlife through them. And then I went into the community program just because this is something that Sooke really wanted. Met with our municipality and our other community groups, and people really wanted to keep the program in Sooke, and they wanted to have the program be more of a community program. And so I formulated this new program, and we're calling it Wild Wise Sooke.
Wild Wise Sooke. And what I've noticed mostly about you in our discussion here is that your passion for really caring about the animals and really transforming people's minds about a new way of thinking and a new way of looking at living with wildlife, rather than getting all excited about calling up and saying, "I got this scary bear, come shoot it or get rid of it," but really appreciate living in harmony with the bears. It's really probably they were here first anyway. They've got their rounds that they always do, and we put our garbage out. You were saying that, which is just a silly thing to do, to leave it out then. And
Yeah, I think where we live in our community, that if we understand what we're doing to attract these animals to our community, then we can prevent a lot of things happening to animals, as animals being destroyed, or I think years ago, whenever there was an animal in the way, people just got rid of it. And what it ended up happening in many communities throughout Canada, or maybe even the world, is all of a sudden there was fewer and fewer animals. I think once people realize that these animals are here and that we can coexist with them, and they understand that putting your garbage away is a simple thing so that an animal doesn't become a menace in your garbage can. It's not the animal's fault that he's in the garbage can. It's your fault because you left the garbage there. When people understand what these attractions are, and it's a simple process of just managing them, and letting the wildlife return to the wild because they're not accessing these things. For example, bears are hungry all the time. Bears think about food 24 hours a day. So obviously, if you're going to have bird food out, or if you're going to have a greasy barbecue, or a smelly compost pile, or a garbage can, obviously a smart bear is going to find that, get into it, and you're going to think that that's a problem for you. But the bear is naturally doing what a bear does, looks for food, wants to eat it. And so you as a person have to look at, well, what am I doing? What do I have to do to prevent this bear from coming into my yard and prevent me from feeling possibly unsafe, or for my community to be unsafe? So to keep these wildlife in the wild, if we manage all these attractions, then the bear has no interest in coming into your yard because there's nothing to eat there.
Yeah, so bears like to eat. I think that's important to remember, and it takes some responsibility. How we've been doing, just quickly, since you've been on board, we made some improvements here in Sooke.
Yes, I started about 5 years ago in Sooke, and I've been doing a lot of presentations and interviews, and relying on our press and educating kids in schools, and going to the fall fair, and anything I could do to get the message out on management attractions and why these wild animals are in our community. And slowly but surely people are listening, and the word is getting out there. Last year we only had 4 bears destroyed in Sooke, and over the years we've had as many as 30 in a season.
Wow.
Destroyed. So last year there was only 4. The happiness for me was that people are listening, they're managing their attractions, they're storing their garbages inside secure buildings. When you drive around Sooke, I see far less garbage sitting out on the sides of the roads or in front of houses. I see people thinking about their attractions and caring more about the wildlife in the community. Sooke, we are wild by nature, and this is where we are, this is where we live. And when we start to understand that is a great thing about Sooke, that is what we stand for, and that wildlife lives here, and that we can coexist with it, we'll all be safe, and we'll have a great community, and we'll all be able to appreciate seeing all these beautiful animals around us.
Okay, well, that's wonderful. I was going to ask you what your piece of wisdom to share with everyone is, but that was kind of like a piece of wisdom right there. Do you want to be specific, or just basically the idea of coexisting with?
I think coexisting is really a positive for our community. I'd hate to see no animals at all in our community, in the forests around Sooke. I'd hate to even think that we would go for a hike and we would never ever see a wild animal, or there would never be a wild animal around. So in order to keep that way and keep the wild in the wild, I think we all have to respect the fact that we are wild by nature.
We are. Nice. So thanks for sharing about yourself and the program. You guys can find out more about Wild Wise Sooke on the website and on Facebook.
Yes, we have a website, wildwisesooke.com. We have a great Facebook page, and I'm happy with that Facebook page because the community is really contributing to the Facebook page. And we've got sightings of where the bears are, so if you see your neighborhood posted on there, then go outside, take a walk around, look around, see if you've got garbage sitting around, or maybe a possible bird feed, or a greasy barbecue, or large compost pile. Clean it up, and your neighborhood will be safe. We're also posting signs all over Sooke, bear in area, manage your attractions, so people will start seeing that. And so all of these things are educational tools. The website also has lots of information about safety tips and bear biology and different things that you might be interested as far as the bears go.
Okay, great. And probably you'll wind up doing things in the future more than just bears, of course, cougars and deer and all those kinds of great stuff.
Yeah, long-term goal is we will include more wild animals from the area. Sooke is a hotspot for bears right now, so we're trying to deal with that problem and get our community on board. And it's getting better and better every day, so next year we'll probably be into the cougars and the deer.
Great. Okay. And good job, Sooke, for making improvements. If you had somebody to nominate as a daily gem of the area, who would you like to nominate as a gem? Somebody who you see as maybe you work with, or somebody as part of the community that you really think that would be a good person as a gem to interview and get to know.
Nitya Harris. Nitya is partnerships with me in Wildlife Sooke. She also works with the Carnivores Alliance and does a lot of things for the community, so I think she'd be a great person to nominate.
All right, great. So Nitya, we're going to get a chance to talk to you, and I remember meeting her at the luncheon. Also, Debbie, just for being a daily gem, Dave from the Stick in the Mud is giving you a free Vicino coffee from the Speed Stick, so you can go enjoy one of those.
Wonderful.
You're welcome. So thanks, you are a gem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.